Good morning. It's Tuesday, June 27th. I was looking for something to talk about, and I found out that the weather around the world has gone bonkers. Now, even in the United States and on Long Island, the weather has been mild, relatively mild. We've come to summer, and we really haven't had any heat yet. But around the country, things have been happening. Tornado storm in the Ohio Valley. And then we had extreme flooding that's happening more and more often. And this flooding hasn't helped with the water shortage on the West Coast, where Lake Mead and Lake Powell are below limits that have ever been seen before. And that's going to affect an awful lot of this country. And what are we going to do about it? Because when you have weather, you can't control it. And it affects a lot of projects that should take place. Remember, we had some bills passed that we were going to spend millions and billions of dollars on infrastructure. But let me tell you something. With the bad weather, it's very difficult to face up to the fact that we have to do this work on the infrastructure. Weather will definitely affect all of the planning that is involved in getting the infrastructure in this country straightened out. The latest severe storms that battered the southeast and Ohio Valley, which left one person dead and 500,000 homes and businesses without power across several different states in that region. And the death was reported in Martin County, southern Indiana. Emergency management officials found the person dead and then another person injured, and they were still searching for other people who might need assistance. There's nothing like a tornado. I've never seen one live, but I've seen enough pictures. That's scary shit. Tornadoes are not the thing you want to be dealing with. And people are without power, and they won't get that power back for a couple of days. And then who knows if that weather's going to return again. And yesterday there were more than 90 million people in our country under the threat of severe weather. A level 3 to 5 enhanced risk was highlighted for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. And we're talking about thunderstorms that were possible all day long. Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Raleigh, North Carolina. Those were all included in this risk area. But Long Island has been calm. But I suspect that it'll get to us too soon. And the rain and the hail were not the only forms of weather that are affecting the lives of people in the U.S. While we got these storm systems going on, we're also dealing with extreme heat from Arizona to Alabama, where people are sweltering under a heat wave that is expected to spread and continue throughout that region of the country until July 4th. And the extreme heat in Texas killed at least 2 people. And in that region, the Big Bend National Park, temperatures reached 119 degrees. And we haven't hit 85 yet on Long Island. So we're lucky. And the U.S. is not the only country that is suffering in this way. In India, terrible things have been happening. On top of a blistering heat wave, heavy showers came to India. It covered the northern part of the country over the weekend. And that was a relief to some of the heat wave. But the mercury levels continued to remain high in most of the other areas. And don't forget, India is a heavily, densely populated country. And millions of people in this country are among the most vulnerable to the effect of weather conditions beyond their control. Because India doesn't have the greatest standard of living, you know. Anyhow, the weekend downpour was a welcome change in the region called Uttar Pradesh, which has a population of 220 million, and where temperatures reached 116 degrees. And that caused many people to suffer from heat-related illnesses. But they got some rain in that region. They were lucky, and the temperatures cooled down. But the region next door got unrelenting heat for the second week, and it's going to continue for at least another week, and it's forcing the schools to shut down until at least Wednesday. And 44 people died from heat-related illnesses across the state in these couple of weeks. So the temperatures might cool down for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. But the Indian Meteorological Department has said this is not the end of these heat waves. This is a climate crisis that is going to cause more and more frequent and longer heat waves in the future. And India will be tested severely with an ability to adapt to these conditions, because they're not going away. Mother Nature is not going to quit, and we in the world have to pay a lot of attention to climate control and what we can do to stop these savage attacks on our lives by a force that is beyond our control for the most part. And don't think that India was the only country in that region that was affected. There were temperatures in northeast China that reached 104 degrees. And I don't know what they're going to do about it. And Pakistan's capital had 102-degree weather. Now, I don't know if that's very hot for those regions. But it's very hot for any region. And humans are not used to living in those kinds of conditions. And those countries are not necessarily 100% prepared to deal with. I don't even know if some of those countries have air conditioning or anything like that. Any of the great preventative measures that we in the United States have, where we can get into an air-cooled restaurant or something like that. I don't know what those countries can do about it. All I know is that the world has to get together and solve this problem. And we have many places where people don't necessarily agree. They don't want to try. They want to drive their cars with their gasoline and everything, which contribute to the bad weather. So I think we are going to see periods of horrible heat waves and flooding, and I don't know what we can do about it. Certainly we don't have the infrastructure to take care of it in this country right now. And maybe the reservoirs will fill up again, and maybe they won't. So there's a crisis. Weather has produced a crisis that I don't know that any nation is truly prepared to deal with 100%. So I leave you with that. The world is coming apart right in front of our very eyes. And I don't know that humanity has the ability, the capability, the intelligence to fight it off. So have a great day, and I'll see you in the morning.